Leonie, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you've agreed to come on the podcast.
No worries. It's great to be here.
So Leonie and I have known each other for ages now, actually. Did we get into business around about the same time?
Yeah, I think you were just ahead of me.
Yeah.
2 months, so yeah.
And you have been in business prior to that, though. So there is a whole history there for you. But what I've got you on today to talk about, which I'm pretty excited about because I love picking your brains on this stuff. So one of the things I think that like a lot of people struggle with is how do you have copy on your website that like entices the right people or turns people off if you actually don't want them to, if they're not your ideal client. And you came up with this wonderful topic for this episode. So I'll let you take the mic now and give the audience a little bit of a feel for how we can actually just create better content copy that's going to suit our websites better.
Yeah, well, I think there's so much information out there about how to, attract the right people to your business. And one of the ways to do that is through your copy and through your writing. But we often don't talk about how to kind of actively discourage the kind of people that you don't really want to work with. But you can, in the same way, you can also do that through your copy as well. So one of the ways to do that, I guess, is to just be open about it on your website. And you could say things like, we're a good fit if, X, Y, Z, if you work like this, or you have, perhaps you like to work with people that are super organized, like to plan ahead, or maybe you're a little bit more ad hoc and you like ideas and, what's the word? It's scared to be. Like sort of random, plans and things like that just work more organically. Myself, I like to work with people that are super organized. Like I've got a couple of clients who have all their content planned out to like June next year. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want.
How do you do that, Leo?
Not many of them, I must say, and it's probably tips more in the other direction where, people tend to be calling me about what they need next week. However, it's a work in progress. So the reason I was thinking about this recently was my accountant actually had a great kind of phrase that she mentioned to me the other day when we were talking about business planning and things like that. And she was saying that when you often first start off and you haven't been running your business very long, you're sort of saying yes to everything and you're seeing how it goes. You're still finding your feet and, you don't want to turn away work because there's not that security yet.
So true.
Yeah, that's right. So she said you basically sort of running your business by default, and then as you mature, you want to try and run your business by design. So you want to try and really actively create the kind of work that you want to do, the kind of clients that you want to work with, and really be sort of considered about that rather than just going with the flow.
Yeah, and you've gone on that journey yourself. I mean, well, both of us have, right? But you had that rebrand earlier this year, kind of going from like copywriting as in your name to actually Marketing Collective because, well, you do all of it. Like, let's be honest. I love our conversations because they always come back to strategy and it's like, no, but what's your strategy? And people are like, what do you mean? And I think it is so true. Like as soon as you start kind of leveling up the business or maturing in the business, because you've done the parts where you've worked with the people that you shouldn't have worked with, let's just say you should have said no, but you were in that mindset of, but I got to make bank. I got to get money into the business. I got to grow. And the only way to do that is to say yes to everything. You very quickly learn you should not say yes to everything. So I like that idea of like business by default to business by design. I think that's a real lovely way to describe maturity of business.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously it's an ongoing process, and it's something that you perhaps don't realize that you need until you get to a certain level in your business, and that can come with consistent workload and feeling a bit more confident in what you offer as well. There's always that kind of, I think, tentativeness and lack of confidence at the start when you're not sure if this is actually going to work and can I make it fly.
Does anyone want to buy from me?
Yeah, that's right. So a good way to think about that is if you do want to try and deter those kind of people that perhaps you're not so keen to work with, you could consider the kind of things that light you up and what you really enjoy in a customer or a client. What kind of aspects of either their personality or their way of working, what kind of businesses, how does that align with your sort of personal
values and things like that.
Yeah, your personal values and
your way of working. Like, because if you're organized and your client's a hot mess, there's going to be there is always going to be a slight, I guess
there's a friction. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, one of the ways I've done that is to actually, clients, but kind of grade my clients. So and I mean that in the nicest way possible. So what I've done is basically had a look at, how does this client, how easy are they to work with for a start? That's always a good one. Is that an easy flowing relationship? Does their business and what they actually do or produce, does that align with what my values and what I do? Is it likely that this is a long-term ongoing relationship, which is what I'm looking for? Are they looking for the same thing as well, or are they after sort of just a quick and dirty solution to something? Are they good payers? And are they sort of on a business trajectory themselves where they're able to meet my financial needs into the future as well? So I've done this in a very kind of Leonie way on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I love this.
And kind of basically just scored those couple of things out of 10 and then done an average and gone, okay, well, that's kind of a score of how, easy they are to work with and whether we're a good fit or not. So that's kind of
But that's not just good for you, Leonie. That's good for the client too. Because how often, and I know even when I was in my corporate career and stuff, how often did we stay in places or stay working with people where there were disconnects or, maybe we weren't working in flow and you just stay there because I want the money or I need this and instead of actually going out and looking for what would be more ideal for you and letting that client go as well and find someone that's going to work with them better, we hold on. So I think it's actually a really important thing to do in our business. And most business owners probably don't do this step. I would say they completely ignore it. And by actually reviewing who we're working for and what lights us up, as you said, we can then, as you said, target on our website and target in all of our marketing who it is that mirror these people. Are you XYZ? Are you XYZ? Then I've got a position for you to I would love to help you with your marketing, or I'd love to help you do X. And I think people really miss this point because they're so worried about, but if I give that client away, that's X amount of revenue.
That's true. But then if you think about, that either that emotional load to serve that client when they're not a good fit, or, are you hanging on to them because some money's better than no money, but actually they're, on perhaps a lower price point than what you're looking for into the future. It's kind of working against where you're trying to go as well. So so that's kind of a good little exercise that you can do with your current client base. And then from a prospective client point of view, I have a little bit of copy on my website that's that sort of just openly lists out those things that I'm looking for in a client.
I think everyone should look at your website because you have this nailed. Because I remember you sent me your website. You're like, hey, do you mind having a look at this? And then I spent ages on there. I screwed up all your Google Analytics because I was like, wow, Leonie is smashing. Because even on my website, I'm probably not as articulate with who it is that I work with as you are by any means. I absolutely love that you've put out there. And I'll say, from what I know, you do attract your ideal client pretty much all the time now, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's whether that's because of this or just because of the decisions I'm becoming more confident about making, I think it's yeah, it's 90% of the time it is exactly the kind of people that I want to work with. So just from my perspective, that's kind of, you know, industrial blokey kind of businesses, you know, they've probably got a decent revenue, like they're quite big manufacturing businesses and things like that. They're quite established for a while, usually male dominated, male owned kind of industries. I find that just works better with my personality to have clients that are blokes for whatever reason. But you know, not actively excluding ladies either. But
yeah, but the men,
yeah,
I will say, working with men is incredibly easy, especially in construction. They're so happy to kind of hand you the reins and be like, yeah, we'll trial that.
yeah,
They are a
absolutely.
they're a lot happier with risk, I find, than, and I know this is a grand generalization, but I will say I think men as purchasers, consumers, I think they're a lot happier with risk than, not all men. I'm sure there's men out there that are very unhappy with risk, but generally they're happier to try things if they can see the value in trying it, which I think is like, as a marketer, we're all about trial and error, right? So if you have a client that's like, yeah, go for it, it's like, it's exciting because you can be a bit daring.
Yeah, that's it. And I think decisiveness as well. That's something that I value as well. Like I said, I'm a real planner. I like to be organized. So if people can make a decision whether it's a yes or no, just tell me what it is rather than kind of dilly-dallying about
No,
things.
no one likes limbo. Limbo is not fun. I agree with that. I don't love sitting in limbo either. And both of us are very similar in the way that we're like, let's just get shit done. Like, let's start the ball rolling. Like, let's just get stuff moving. Because when you're a creative and you start having those ideas, you can't switch them off. So you just want to work with those people instantly because you're like, but I had 10 shower ideas for your brand this morning.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's a really good green flag. You know, that's a good indicator that that's a client that you're excited about, is when you are sitting on the lounge randomly at night and thinking, oh, I must tell, you know, John about this because I've thought about this great idea.
Yeah, it's true. That's actually a really good point, because it's those micro things that we do that are actually, green flags that we don't even notice. It's like, oh, we're excited about that.
Yeah, that's right. Like for whatever reason, you know, their business or their marketing, their ideas, whatever it is, has sort of got under your skin and it's percolating a bit and you're looking forward to working with them. So so I think that's a really good little exercise to and separate out any sort of tire kickers or people that aren't the right fit for you, and really trying to attract your tribe that works, you know, that you work with really well into your business.
Yeah. And I think people don't put enough emphasis on their website is something I see, even with my clients, because they're like, oh, but I have such a great social media presence. And it's like, where do you think they're going once they're off social media, my friend?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I know that you are absolutely excellent at website copy. I have worked with you on several projects now for website copy. And I think that, getting that having great copy on your website, there is nothing, and something that fits in with your personality as well, so that people get a real feel for you when they land on that website. Like, yes, they might have got a feel for who you, this is the other thing. If it's disjointed, if you're one person on social media and you're all like, you know, I'm very bubbly and jokey and all of that, that's on my website too. You know, it's in my emails, it's in everything. People know I'm going to probably drop an F-bomb, maybe. Sorry. Sorry, mom. But people also know that, like, I'm going to have a joke with them or be a bit fun. So I think, I think that's really important that that's mirrored in your website copy as well. And I don't think there's anything wrong with calling out the people that you want to work with on that website copy.
Yeah, that's right. And it's, you know, you can do that in a really sort of nice and genuine way. It's not about sort of being like, you know, narky or anti whoever, you know. And like you said, that consistency of presenting who you are across different platforms as well sort of ties in with that as well. So
because that's the other thing, like people's bios now, like on Insta, right? Like it's a real fad, I'll call it, that it's like, hey, I'm Beck and I work with, like, how often do you see that in people's bios? But it's something that they wouldn't translate to their website.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So just a little thought percolator there for you if you're someone that's got, hey, I'm Beck and I work with. I mean, I hope you don't have Beck, but you know, I think that is real trending. So is there anything else, Leonie, that you'd like to drop into the conversation today and leave as a little thought bubble for our listeners?
I think probably don't be afraid to be confident about who you want to work with, and and by the same token, with who you don't as well. So, think about who you're really enjoying working with at the moment. What is it about them? Is it their way of working? Is it that they're, there's a particular type of product or industry or something like that attracts you? Whatever those things are, really try and hang on to those and actively look for those things in your new customer sort of marketing and when you're prospecting and things like that. And that will, if you keep that front of mind, I think that will naturally gravitate towards you as well.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm sure you'll be back.